Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the A Files. Thanks so much for coming back. The Epstein Files passed overwhelmingly through the House and Senate. I believe it was 427 to 1 in the House, and we'll talk about that one later, and unanimously in the Senate. And Trump is running scared. He is scrambling. He is nervous because he is looking guilty, in my opinion. It does not look good. The way that this administration is going to great lengths to cover up this sex trafficking ring, I will never understand unless you are guilty and more in the files. I'm not talking about the emails. I'm talking about the files than we ever thought. And actually, I was watching MSNBC last night, or MSN Now, whatever. I was watching the weeknight show on there, and there was a congresswoman. I do apologize, I forgot her name. The clip isn't live yet. But there was a congresswoman who was on there, and she said that she read the files already, or at least some of them, and that Donald Trump is very much in the files. And he's so in the files that, do you remember in my last episode, I did bring up the Katie Johnson case about the 13-year-old girl who accused Donald Trump of raping her when she was 13? Yes, apparently she's mentioned throughout the files too. So to be honest, if I'm just fully honest, it's looking really, really bad for the president. It really is. For him and the people around him, the DOJ, the Justice Department that is led by Pam Bondi, who was also the Attorney General of Florida when the Epstein stuff went down. Yes, that's probably why there wasn't allegedly a lot of movement, right? She's in a lot of trouble too. Kash Patel, he's in a lot of trouble. These people still to this day call it a Democratic hoax. It's disgusting, it is vile, and it is time for the files to be released, and it's just a waiting game. Okay, so the Epstein Transparency Act passed through the House of Representatives on Tuesday by a vote of 427 to 1. Clay Higgins, a Republican loyalist, he loves Trump. He was the one who voted against it, and he said, it's because I want transparency and I don't want the victims out there and I don't want names to be out there that shouldn't be out there. No, you're protecting your billionaire donors. That's who you're protecting. And you're on the wrong side of history, my friend. And honestly, I think you need to be investigated. And then Mike Johnson, who is the leader of the House, he thought, he was so cocky that the Senate would block the vote. That was the kind of the conversation here in the US. We knew the House of Representatives would pass it. I personally didn't think it would be this overwhelming until Donald Trump came out Sunday night urging the Republicans to vote the Epstein files to go through. But he also said the Senate has a lot of changes to make. So he made this vote being very cocky, thinking that, oh, well, John Thune and the Senate, they'll save us. They'll have a lot of changes to make. Nope, he was wrong. John Thune actually, surprisingly, went unanimously with the Democrats in the Senate. It was literally unanimous vote. Nobody said no in the Senate. So Chuck Schumer, as much as you pissed me off, you pulled this off. He really did. Because minutes after the House went and voted for the files to be released, Chuck Schumer went on the Senate floor and just basically said, we're doing a unanimous vote whether you like it or not. And how does that look for John Thune in the Senate, right? If they say, uh-oh, we can't go against a unanimous vote, it looks really bad. So in a way, John Thune got cornered, but then again, did he get cornered or did John Thune just save his career? Well, save career is probably not the right way, but you get what I'm saying. Did the Senate Republicans just save their careers in a way? Maybe some of them did with their loyalists. So what happens next? So now that the Senate has passed the bill, it officially goes to Donald Trump's desk. Can you believe it? What poetic justice. This is just so crazy that the guy who's been blocking the vote, the guy that has been blocking the Epstein files from getting released, is the one that has to pass it. Crazy. It's just so crazy to think about. So Donald Trump was the one who campaigned against the bill. And actually, before the Epstein vote, I was watching the news A handful of the victims and survivors were on Capitol Hill, and they did a whole press conference before the vote, and they held up pictures of their younger self. They talked about their vile experiences with Epstein and this sex trafficking ring, but they also called for the president to come speak to them, and he didn't show up. They have been asking for a meeting with the president for months, and he didn't show up. Actually, a lot of people didn't show up other than Representative Ro Khanna, Representative Thomas Massey, and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. So there's no surprise there with the three of them. They have been the champions to get this Epstein stuff out there. So give credit where credit's due. But Donald Trump did not go speak to the victims, and that's telling. This is just an embarrassment. This is a global embarrassment because so many people are involved. And honestly, it's only time. It's only time until we get this list. And I'm promising you, I am going to be reading off every single person that is involved because I am reading Virginia Giuffre's memoir. Actually, I'm really close to being done. I have like 10 pages left. And it is disgusting. It is vile what these people did to her. And it's because of her where we are today. And her brother and her brother's wife, Virginia Giuffre's sister-in-law, they have been very vocal from the beginning for getting justice for their sister. And now look. So Trump, sign it. He literally, what's crazy about this is Trump on Sunday said, release the files. We have nothing to hide. Then we shouldn't have gone through all of these votes because the president could have just released it. He could have just ordered Pam Bondi to release the files. Do not fall victim for what Donald Trump is doing. Do not fall victim. The MAGAs are pissed. So Trump is real effing nervous right now, and he should be. He absolutely should be. Okay, so the last update I have is we finally have some movement in that David case. Do you guys remember the David case? I did cover it in episode 8, so if you do need a little bit of a refresher, that's a quick, short overview of what happened. But just real quick, there was an investigation into the death of a 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And her body was found earlier this year in the front trunk of David's Tesla car. And the teen had been missing since like April 2024 when she was 13 years old. And there was a potential relationship, whether it was physical, intimate or not, between the 20-year-old David and 15-year-old Hernandez. And up until now, David had been cooperating with the police. He said that he didn't really have anything, to be guilty about. But the one thing that I was always really stuck on is even if he wasn't guilty in her murder, I did think it was very inappropriate that they had a relationship regardless, and he had to be investigated for that because a 15-year-old has no business hanging out with a 20-year-old. And a 13-year-old at the time had no business hanging out with an 18-year-old because that's how old he allegedly was when she went missing. Well, it has now officially been reported by KTLA5 LA that the investigation into the death and who did it has now turned to David. And David has now been considered a suspect in her death. He stopped cooperating with the police, and the law enforcement took that seriously. And now he has been taken into custody. The police have not really released much information as it's an ongoing case right now, but it's not looking good. However, I do think it's a good thing that we're moving in this case. We're taking steps in this case because I haven't honestly heard about it in a couple months. And Celeste's family needs justice now because this is not okay. To find this young girl body completely torn apart, by the way, in this trunk. It was disgusting. It was apparently a disgusting scene. And well, now they apparently have suspicion that it could have potentially allegedly been David. So yeah, I mean, we'll continue to keep an eye on it. I told you guys I would, and I'm personally very invested, and this investigation remains ongoing. And just so you know, the medical examiner's office is the one who believed to have ordered additional testing in the death of Celeste, especially when it comes to David. So, all right, everybody, thanks for listening. We're going to keep updated on the Epstein files, on David, and also I'll be talking more about the economy and the government shutdown next time. All right, thanks for listening. Bye.